Probably already taken us. I think we're going live for the first ever Talking Packers live with Hafeman Bros. We welcome you in. We welcome Ben in. And we welcome, we welcome Packers Talk right now because the draft was very interesting. We are going to dig in a little bit and we're going to discuss what happened. We're not going to dwell too much on too many negatives, but there are some things to examine here. And that's why we got Ben along for the ride to bring some stability to this show. Because I might just go off the rails again. You never know, right, Ben? Isn't that how
I'm bringing stability? This guy?
I'm telling you, I'm struggling.
We're in trouble if that's the case.
I'm struggling. And I watch, I'm trying to look at this from a different angle. I do think we have after the whole draft was complete, I think we have a clear picture of what's happening. I think we just don't like it. Most of us fans, because it means it's not going to help soon. All right, you can make the arguments for that. You can make the arguments for that. Before we jump into too much draft stuff, I know there was one thing you wanted to clarify and clear up that was said on our last thing on Brews and Bros on Friday night, where Corey, our guest, darkly lit room, bearded guest who came in out of nowhere on us. No, we knew he was coming, but anyway, we didn't know he was going to do that way. But he took something that you said a little bit wrong, and we never kind of followed up on it because I think we got spinning on some other things. So tell me some clarification there, please.
Well, it was just in the case when I was talking about how the Packers are going to, they're looking to the future. Their goal is to have a consistently winning product team for, sustainable for years and years and years and years and years. That's what I said. And Corey took that as saying it's interesting. His quote was, "It's an interesting concept that the Packers want to win, just not too much." And that's not what I meant by what I was saying. What I meant was the Packers want to win championships. They do. And they do say it all the time. I'm not saying that they don't. But their number one priority is to sustain winning forever as much as possible. And I think that they believe that just the same thing as with draft picks. The Packers' belief in draft picks is let's get as many draft picks as we can, because the more you have, the better chance you have of getting a really difference maker, because it's kind of a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen with these guys once they get to the NFL. It's the same thing. If you're constantly putting out a product, or you put the team together that has a chance to win every single year, the percentage chance of you getting to the Super Bowl and winning is more likely. So I get that. They're just not willing to put all their eggs into one basket. That's all I was kind of getting at.
Yeah,
and it's a smart move. Like I've said, it's look at teams, look at the Tampa Bay this year, right? They're putting their money into Tom Brady. They've got no backup quarterback that's worth anything, right? They let Jameis Winston go, who was their first round pick 5 years ago, and he's not that great. Nobody seems to want him. He's still sitting on the market, right? They're getting Gronk out of retirement. They're, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of putting stuff all into one area, right? But there's no guarantee they're going to win a championship. And a matter of fact, they got to get through the Saints and the 49ers and Russell Wilson's craziness with the Seahawks, where we saw him against the Packers in the playoffs. They were dominated in the first half. Second half, he ran all over the dang place and almost brought him back. If they would have somehow made it to overtime, I think the Packers would have lost that game. So there's no guarantee, even if you put all your money and all your resources into winning now, that you're going to win get to the Super Bowl and win it. So that's why I wanted to clarify. I'm not saying the Packers are deliberately trying to not win the Super Bowl. They're not like win a lot, but don't win the Super Bowl. No. They want to win a lot and win the Super Bowl. But the number one priority is win a lot, continuously win successfully for years and years and years and years and years. And they believe that is going to give them a better chance to win more championships and be more relevant year in and year out.
Right. That's sustained success. Like some of the things we did bring up, I think are fair and I think are accurate, which were you want that to keep the fan base engaged. You want that to, sell merchandise. You want, because it's a business. It is a business. But the part you're talking about here is, and I said this to you on the phone the other day is that it's a lot of winning in the end. A lot of ending up winning the Super Bowl is there's some luck involved, but you want to put yourself in the position that you can have the opportunity to be there, right? And Rodgers talked about this forever, and the Packers said this kind of in the mix thing, and you know, in the mix, making the postseason, and then you see what happens. Because how many times you see it? There's this great team, there's some significant injuries, or something else happens, or they get knocked out in a one-game thing, even though they're the better team. That certainly can happen. So you want to give yourself the opportunity, even if you're the lesser team, to have that happen for you. But and that's what the Packers are doing, and that's the goal. But it's pretty clear they're not willing to sacrifice those repeated opportunities for really going for it and really maxing out and saying, okay, this 2 to 3 year window, we are going after this thing. And that looks like it's pretty clear that that's been their approach for a long time. They're sticking with it. It's this draft echoes that over and over. And that's why so many people are upset about it, because there is looking at the players in this draft overall, and we'll dig into them a little more in depth, as we're just going to go rounds 1 through 3 today, and then we'll do the other rounds later in a second show. That there's not really any immediate impactful guys here on a big scale, especially when you take a look at the roster, unless Aaron Jones gets hurt. Then AJ Dillon might have to be an impactful guy, because if Aaron Jones goes down, it doesn't look so good. I mean, that's true. So there's some protection there, but we have some examination of that. And the other thing, the one other point, and this is a question I raised to you before. So I want to get into being positive and looking at things and kind of understanding what the Packers are trying to do here. Although I have my thoughts on who's really running the show now, which we talked about in that clip that I put out earlier today as well. But the thing that disturbed me the most about the approach in this draft is you just spent a bunch of time and resources and dollars on some big ticket free agents last year, right? I mean, it's Darius Smith, Preston Smith, Adrian Amos, Billy Turner. You wasted your money there for sure, but that happens sometimes. We get it. But you just spent that for a 4-year window with those guys. You have a 4-year window with Aaron Rodgers. You have a couple more years of Devontae Adams on this contract. What, as an organization, you do this draft, what do you say to those guys? Because they didn't come to Green Bay for a complete overhaul of the roster and offensive philosophical changing and the process that that's going to take to get that done over not just one draft, but multiple drafts. That's not why they came to Green Bay. And by the time you get to that, their time's almost going to be up in Green Bay. So what do you say to those guys? That's the issue. That's the main issue I have with this. And I would be really mad. Like everybody's, and we talked about how mad Aaron Rodgers should be, and he should be. But if I'm Zadarius Smith, I'm pretty fuming right now. If I'm Preston Smith, if I'm any of those guys that said, I want to go to Green Bay because I've been on teams that haven't won, or, Preston Smith come from Washington. Come on, that's a disaster. You came to this team to win. It's not going to happen.
Maybe. Hey. Remember this, though. Remember this. I'm just going to say this. They were coming to a team with a brand new head coach, coming off a 6-win season. It was a complete turmoil in the between the head coach and the quarterback before that. They came here for the money and the chance to play and start for Zadarius, because he wasn't starting. And for Preston, he came here because maybe he wanted to go to a better organization. Yes. And Adrian Amos came here because of the money. He got the most money. Like, let's not be pretending like they didn't come here for to win. Blah. Yeah, sure. Yes, maybe. But they came for the money. That's not bad. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's why they came. So, I doubt any of those guys expected to be 13-3 and in the NFC Championship game when they signed in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? I highly doubt that. However, once things started developing and they realized, hey, we got a good team here. We got a decent defense here. We're feeling pretty good about this. And they didn't realize they had nobody to stop the run until, the Eagles game. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And they couldn't stop fast defensive ends. We found that out against San Diego and against San Francisco twice. And they realized, maybe we have a couple things that are issues here. But for the most part, they believed in themselves after they already got the team together. So this does hurt them in a way, yes. I'm sure they were probably thinking, okay, we can get a difference maker here, a difference maker there, or some kind of change. But this is what I want to ask you a question. Because I think both of us have looked at the wide receiver position from last year. And to be honest, a lot of those guys are like some of my favorite guys on the team. And kind of like really interesting guys. And everybody's making a big stink about how they didn't get a receiver in the draft and all this sort of thing. And I told you, I've watched some of the tape on these guys that were going to be there for them at that pick. And I was not that impressed. Like, I honestly, compared to what we already have and the players we have now in the system that LaFleur runs, those guys are pretty good. The only problem we had was the playing time given to Geronimo Allison and the playing time given to Jimmy Graham. And guess what? Those guys are gone. That playing time is now going to go to players who are better. And they were better. I know they were better. I think LaFleur and those guys know they were better too. And I don't know why they played them.
That's the weird part, right? If they recognize that, why didn't they get them in the games more and utilize them more?
I don't know. But the best part is, hey, guess what? Alan Lazard, he's going to be a number 2 now. Unless Funches can somehow show everybody they can actually catch the ball. And Kumaro, maybe he'll be a little better. I don't know. Or get some balls thrown his way. I don't know. The other thing that's really important to look at, and I listened to Wes and Mike today, maybe it was yesterday, whatever they did, they're unscripted. And they said, hey, guess what, everybody? We just drafted a running back and a tight end, a young tight end. We now have 3 young tight ends. We have 3 running backs, and they're all different types of players. He's like, the days of Mike McCarthy's 5 wide receiver sets and 4 wide receiver sets are over. Mm-hmm. Matt LaFleur is good. He doesn't run that. He runs 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. Like, the other thing that I'm really excited about, and we can get into that later maybe, but I told you, like, a formation I was thinking of with the guys they have right now. Think if they changed everything up, right? Okay, boom, boom, boom. They move the stuff guys around, and the defense has to adjust, right? And they see Tanyan, and they see DeGuara come in, and they see Aaron Jones, and Dylan, and Devontae Adams. So they see 1 receiver, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs. What are you going to put out there to try to combat that? Because you don't see where they line up. You just see what type of players are coming out, right? So they got to send in their guys, blah blah blah. Okay. Then they line them up in the line of scrimmage. And you know what you got? You put Devontae one-on-one way, way, way over on one side, right? You put Dylan in the backfield or Jamal Adams, either one. I don't care. Then on the other side, you put freaking both tight ends, DeGuara and Tanyan. And then you put Aaron Jones split out wide in a bunch set. Who's gonna cover those guys out there? You're going to put little corners on them, or the linebackers going to have to go all the way out there. If they bring linebackers out, then you got this 247-pound monster who's going to run up the middle because they have to put their linebackers out to cover those tight ends and the running back. And if they decide to keep the linebackers in and put little corners and safeties out there, then you got 2 big tight ends to run them over, or you run a screen pass to Aaron Jones. And then, not only that, they're going to have to cheat aside all the way over because Devontae's going to be by himself. You're going to leave Devontae one-on-one against the corner? Good luck with that, buddy. They're going to have to cheat somebody over there, and he's all on the other side of the field. So that's either, and then you come out now. What you have to do then is give Rodgers a chance to look at the defense and say, okay, they're cheating over to Devontae. We're not going to Devontae, right? So we're going over to the 3 wide receiver side, or it's going to be 2 tight ends and Aaron Jones. If they show more guys in the box than what we expected, then we go there, right? If they spread out more, they give us some running room. Oh, look out. Dylan's going to run right through him and break tackles and kill him. I mean, and that's just because of the guys they have. They're versatile. I watched, we can get into the guys later, but it's like, instead of Packer fans thinking of this as, okay, we're going to have 25,000 wide receivers like we did for years and years and years with Rodgers. And Rodgers would never throw to the tight end. He's always throwing to wide receivers, outside passes. He never want to throw through the middle because he doesn't want to throw an interception, right? So he always throws outside. Okay, well, those days are done. LaFleur doesn't want to do that anymore. And Rodgers needs to realize it. The fans need to realize it and understand that we have players on the team. Devontae is still awesome. Devontae is still going to beat one-on-one coverage against the majority of corners in the league. And defenses are going to have to worry about him. So even if they don't get any more wide receivers, they still have a lot of different ways to beat you and to trick you into thinking something's going to happen and then go a different way with it. I'm actually excited of this. Probably the most excited I am is for this Dylan. And I'm actually more excited for Aaron Jones because I've watched Dylan's tape and he is nothing like Aaron Jones. Absolutely the complete opposite of Aaron Jones. And defenses are going to be one minute they're going to see this guy barreling at him. And the next minute they're going to see this guy teleport from here. And then he teleports over there in like a second. And he's gone. Boom. And you're like, what the hell just happened? And then when you're expecting that teleport guy to come, here comes another guy, just runs your ass over. Oops, sorry. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's awesome. These are things that, excite me. So that's where I'm at right now. I've the shock and awe, the love thing. I'm still, I don't know, but I get the running back. I watch tape on him. I watch things on him. I've seen him. I'm like, okay, I like this guy. He looks like Dorsey Levens. If Dorsey Levens gained 10 pounds and couldn't catch. So, but I don't know if this guy can't catch or if they just chose not to throw him the ball. Because to be honest,
they just said they didn't throw many passes to backs.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing with a bunch of Wisconsin running backs that have come out over the years. I mean, Melvin Gordon certainly catch the ball. He just never did it in college, just like Jonathan Taylor. Those guys certainly have the hands, and they were saying Dylan's got the hands. Now, look, in my examination or anything I say about this, it's not that I'm hating on any of these players. And I think I see how at least a number of them can fit, but the draft, the where they were drafted doesn't make a lot of sense. There was a lot of reaching here, and when you go through the full list, okay, quarterback, running back, tight end, finally a linebacker that's coming off a knee injury, offensive lineman. It's going to be 2 interior O linemen, even though one was a tackle in college, and a center, and then a safety and an edge rusher. I understand that everybody talks about best player available, can't draft for position, but how many you got? You're banking on Kirksey being healthy. It was coming off 2 injury years. Who else do you have at an inside backer? And that was our biggest problem, with run defense. And you haven't had speed in the middle forever. You finally have some speed with Savage, but he's not a hitter. Like, where is that guy in the middle that can not be blocked and track plays down and hit guys? And you still don't have it. And that was a big one. And then defensive line is not good. Kenny Clark is good. After that, it drops off significantly. You did not sign Snacks. You did not sign other people to bolster that run defense in the offseason. And you didn't address it when there were some studs in this draft. And instead, you chose to make these picks, like the picks 2 and 3, and even pick 1 is a reach. But picks 2 and 3, you could have gotten later. Okay, maybe you miss out on Dylan if you wait till the 3rd round, but he could have been there. And DeGuara, I mean, I like the dude. I think he's got good hands. There's nice things about him, but he's only 6'2", 242. And Ben, he was like, what was he for a projection in most mocks?
6th round.
6th round. I mean, if you really wanted another tight end piece, there were guys like Troutman and other guys that went 10 picks after you made that selection that have a lot more upside than a guy like DeGuara does. DeGuara is a solid player, but he's not going to get substantially better. There isn't he can't get any taller. He's 6'2". He's not going to get any faster. There's no upside here. There's no growth. And you don't draft players that can't grow unless they're studs. And unless you get them in the late rounds,
It seems like the Packers are doing the opposite of what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Everybody else, their first 2 picks, right? They draft either like a solid top-notch guy, right? Who's not going to stink, and it has some upside, but his floor is low. And then after that, then you find guys who are athletic freaks, who are very raw, and you think you can mold them, and a couple years will be good, right?
Yep.
Well, the Packers took their first round pick on a guy who's an athletic freak, who could be good, and they have to spend years and years trying to develop him into being good. And then their second, third round picks, they pick guys who are very good players. Their floors are very low. They've already proven that they can play. They've already proven they can do all kinds of things in college for years and years, but their ceilings are not particularly high because they've already done everything they could possibly do. I mean, Dylan's got 5 million carries in college, for God's sake.
A lot of carries, yeah.
So it's like they just do the opposite of what everybody else does. And they had to, because they traded away their 4th round pick. That's the other reason why they probably reached that tight end. The other thing I noticed was when on the Wes Hodkiewicz thing, he said that when you listen to Matt LaFleur's press conference after the whole draft, or maybe it was after Friday night draft, one of those two, when he started talking about the tight end, DeGuara, he just lit up.
Yep.
Like he went on and on and on. Like he wasn't even prompted about things, and he went on and on and on about how versatile he is and where he lines up here. And he does. I looked at the tape. He lined up at, right on the line of scrimmage at tight end. He lined up a split. He lined up all the way in the slot. He lined up in a three wide receiver bunch on the outside, on the inside, in the middle. He was everywhere. He was lined up in the backfield. He always was moving in motion from here to there. Just all kinds of things. And like you said, I don't know if LaFleur's in charge, but obviously a lot of these picks are picks that LaFleur said to Goody. He was like, listen, I want a tight end / fullback that I could put anywhere. And I think that was the issue with Vitale. Okay. A lot of people like Vitale. They said he was a game changer, that sort of thing. Right. And he was good at fullback. He was good at catching some balls. Right. But when he did wheel routes and things, sometimes he couldn't quite locate the ball. I think that was a limitation that LaFleur didn't absolutely like. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants to be able to have this guy not only block, but also go out in any type of pattern, whatever pattern he might need him to go in to do. And I think Vitale was not able to do the tight end type things that he wants his fullback / H-back to do. And this guy is a guy who can do all of the things that he wants him to do. However, I watched his run blocking in a couple games today. Not that great. So I don't know if he's going to be able to run block that great, but whatever.
Yeah, you're talking about DeGuara, right? Yeah, that was the thing that they so
he's willing to get in there, but he doesn't
Right.
sustain the block. He doesn't always even get on the guy he's supposed to. Sometimes he just flat up misses them.
That was people's that was some of the some of the scouting stuff I looked up those were some of the notes. It was like he's got good hands, he's good at underneath routes because he's not that fast to run. He's not running away from anybody. Although you said you noticed him being deceptively open a lot of times, so we don't know.
Maybe he's open downfield a lot, like a lot of plays where he's next thing you know, boom, he's behind everybody 30 yards and he's catching the pass, and I'm like, what happened? Because like 1 minute he's on the screen, he goes out in a route. You don't ever see that, obviously. Maybe on you see the whole tape of the whole field, then you'll know. But when you're watching the tape, a regular game, he runs 5 yards, you miss him, he goes off the screen. Next thing you know, he's catching a 35-yard pass, and nobody looked at him. I don't know if people don't figure it out that he's their number one receiver because he was, or what, or the teams are just dumb, or I don't know. But the guy got open, and he made the catch over and over again. So it's like, and Cincinnati could not run the ball. I watched 2 games today, full games of offense, and they were god awful at running the ball. They could not run. Same thing with, I don't know. We should probably go. I guess we're going to do the tight end right now, obviously.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay, but those were the notes. See, I guess this is where I'm having a struggle. Before for me it was an issue and possibly I don't know if I can be a fan anymore issue, but now I'm trying to walk it back. I'm trying to recenter myself and say, okay, Jason, you've been a Packers fan your whole life. You know, your blood's partially green and gold. Like, come on. Like, okay, let's try to adjust with the team here a little bit. But when I looked up stuff on DeGuara, that's what they said. The blocking, he's a willing blocker, but he needs a lot of work there. And then other people said he, all that stuff, but he's not a dynamic tight end. And then there were those. So if the pick needed to be another versatile tight end, I'm saying by every other person's estimation, there were different people there that would have been a more talented choice and would have seemed to make more sense. But LaFleur has a relationship with somebody on the Cincinnati staff, and I know that played into this. The other thing that's really kind of so anyway, I want to dig into that in a minute, but I did want to make this one point, which was that although some of these players I think can help with that transition, because it's very clear from the whole draft the Packers are adjusting to a new style of offense. This is the fact. There is not, like you said, there's not going to be any of that old stuff anymore. There's going to be a very different offensive philosophy moving forward. That's the way it's going to be. And these picks all are leading them there. It's not going to happen this year fully, but they're getting us there. But with DeGuara and with some of these guys, again, when you look at some of the picks that were still there in round 3, Ben, guys they could have had to help with the defensive line, could help with the run defense that they know they need. And you could have got DeGuara later. Thing.
They could have waited on DeGuara until the 4th round had they not traded up and got rid of that 4th round pick.
Yeah,
because then they could have. Because if they would have taken him in the 4th round, would you be as mad as taking him on day 3 as you were taking him in day 2?
Not as mad, but
a late round would it be a late round 4th round pick would look better than a late round 3rd round pick, right?
Definitely,
but that 4th round pick was gone because they used it to trade up 4 spots for no reason whatsoever. And that's the other thing. Did you know that Gutekunst said Miami called him to trade up and asked him if he wanted to trade up?
Really?
Yeah.
So he was just like, sure, why? We'll just give it.
Here, take a 4th round pick, sure.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. The one other main thing that I'm having issue with is the answers. The answers from Gutekunst and from LaFleur do not match reality. They're not good answers. When you hear about Gutekunst, why he made certain choices, like you examined some of his statements the other night on Friday night, we talked about it. Those statements don't ring with, hey, we got to trade up and grab this guy because he's a revolutionary quarterback. He's going to be the next great quarterback in Green Bay. That's not what he said. So it just doesn't matter.
They ask him, is he the heir apparent? And he's like, oh, you can't put that on him. You can't put that on him. Would have been drafted in the 1st round, dude.
You just put it on him.
You got to put it on him. You drafted in the 1st round.
And the same thing and the same thing with DeGuara. It's like, LaFleur talked about all that stuff and all the things he liked on it. And then everybody was like, well, he's a blocking back. We're going to use him in all these ways. But then you see all the stuff from college and all the scouts say he's not that good at blocking. So that's what I'm saying. The comments and the reasoning that the Packers, now maybe they have other reasoning, but the reasoning they've given publicly does not match reality. And that's my issue. But I want to look at some positives moving forward. I'm willing to do that. There's going to be a little bit of criticism, of course, with a few things, but we're going to look at some positives. And I have some good positives. You want to finish on DeGuara? Let's finish on DeGuara, and then we'll work our way up to Love. Although,
I'm pretty much done. I mean, it's
okay.
I said everything I saw today. I mean, he seems, and I also watched the video. There's kind of a cool video. It's like, I don't know what it was called, but it's like the Cincinnati program put out like a video of him during practice one day. He was mic'd up during practice. He's kind of a goofy guy. He's kind of funny. And, guys I'll go up to him and be like, man, you got the best beard ever. And, it's like, everybody loves your beard. Everybody loves your beard. They talk about his beard. Another guy's like, it's not just the beard. It's actually the mustache that makes the beard. And he's like, yeah, that's underrated. The mustache is underrated. So I could see this guy and Aaron Rodgers getting along pretty well, talking about mustaches and beards and stuff. These are the weird things that I see when I watch this stuff. But it's kind of a cool little mic'd up section of this guy when he was a senior in college and he was in practice one day. And it's kind of, it's goofy. There's one time where 2 quarterbacks threw him balls at the same exact time, and he didn't catch either of them. He's like, God, he's like, quarterbacks are stupid. What do they expect me to do? And he's like, saying stuff like that. Then a little while later, a different guy had the same thing happen to him, and he caught both of them. And he's like, oh, he caught both of them. Like, all right, well, they're still stupid or something, just stuff like that. But it's just like, it was interesting. It's cool to see a guy, and I'm sure it was a little tame because he knew he was mic'd up or whatever, but he seems to get along with all the guys. He was talking to guys on defense, talking to guys on offense. He was a leader of the team probably as, probably one of their main options in the receiving core and a senior. So, he was a leader and a good guy. And I could see that's the other thing we talked about last time. The Packers are looking to get good guys. It's obvious by the way that they ship guys out of town when there are problems.
Yep.
Goody didn't take any crap from Demarius Randall. See ya, gone. Ty Montgomery talks smack. See ya, gone. Like, he doesn't mess around. So
you're out of here.
Yeah, forget it. He wasn't good though, but whatever. Get him out of here. So it's like, and that's what they're doing. They want good guys who are solid, smart, will do their assignments. That's not bad. Look at the Patriots. That's what they've been doing for years. So, and then once in a while, but they don't have Belichick, who's running the whole thing, who's got 20 million championships, and everybody has to listen to what he says because he's the general manager and the head coach. And no matter what he says, that's the law, right? This is 2 guys who are trying to do it with another guy on top of him, and they have zero, equity built up because they haven't done anything. It's a second-year GM and a first-year head coach, right? Or third-year GM and a second-year head coach now. But
yeah,
it's a little different situation. But you got to start somewhere, and that's what I've kind of gotten to it now. It's taken me a couple days, but now I'm like, okay, these guys are trying to develop a team of good guys who are solid, smart, good players to last for years and years and years, consistently win with a chance to possibly win a championship because they're always in the mix. Okay, I got it. I understand it. I still don't get the first round pick, but everything else, I understand.
And I'm all for it. Like, as Green Bay Packers fans, I mean, look, we don't want the problem people. We don't, and that's fine. You want to stay away from guys that are questionable human beings. I'm good with that. Now a whole team of them, can you acquire enough talent if you only get good, solid guys like that are good people? You're really concerned about the type of people they are. I hope so, but I'm not sure about that. Sometimes, I mean, people that are great athletes have egos, a lot of them. And if they don't, they might not be as great as you may think they are. But the whole thing with doing that approach, I can certainly appreciate it, and I like it. We don't want jerks on our team. Like, I never wanted the Packers to go get Antonio Brown. I never wanted the Packers to have, some of these other guys who are big pains in the
Beckham
butt.
Jr. Now everybody's like, oh, maybe the Packers will trade for Beckham Jr. since they didn't draft it. No, God, no. We don't want that guy. No way.
No. And we love the good guys that they've had. Now, some of these talent, but guys that were talented, if they're talented, you gotta weigh that a little bit. And I guess, again, the bigger struggle is the way they went about it, the reaches they made. I understand. I see that they're trying to make the transition. Like, that's clear. Okay. So people that aren't getting it, from the draft, at least they're, because at first it looked like there's no plan. Like, we don't know what you're doing here after the first couple picks. We're like, what's happening? But now we see there's a plan to get to, the style of offense that they want to, which is why they drafted a bunch of offensive players in this draft. Eventually they want to get to that style of offense. The other thing that this draft says to me, and I'm speculating a bit here, but the other thing this draft says to me, and it's unfortunate for, Aaron Rodgers and some of the other guys that are a little longer in the tooth, is that the Packers have accepted they cannot hang with the class of the NFC for the next couple of years. And they can't do it with this team, this style. So what it says to me is they're saying, we're going to take a couple of years to overhaul our offensive system and get the personnel we want to run Matt's offense, which Gudakun said a lot of times. These guys fit into Matt's offense. Matt wants to run, make everything come off the running game, all that stuff. Okay. And they're also saying in the next couple of years, we might get it. We still got Rodgers, and maybe this is the thought. They're like, okay, we still got Rodgers. He could still pull off some amazing stuff and be really good for us in key situations when we need to, and we might catch some breaks and we might win it all. But we're expecting that these other teams are so much better than us and are going to be for the next couple of years that we're just going to try to do this transition now over this year and next year, and we're not as concerned about trying to win a championship the next 2 years. That's what this draft says to me. What do you think about that?
I don't know if I agree with that. I think they still think they can win. What scares me is the fact that they didn't even address defensive line at all. That's the part that scares me. Because I think what Gutekunst believes is Kirksey is going to solve Blake Martinez being gone. That's got to be what he believes.
I hope so.
Wagner is going to solve Belaga being gone. That's what he believes. Funches is going to come in, and I don't know what the hell he's going to do, but he must believe he's going to do something because he didn't worry about any other receivers. So he believes those three guys are going to be starters and or key contributors as free agents to make up for losses in free agency. Now, what were the things we wanted them to do? We wanted them to sign back all the restricted free agents or whatever they were.
Yep.
They signed them all back. Shannon Sullivan, Lazard, Kumaro, Tanyan, all the guys that we loved, and we said these are the guys we want to see play more. They signed them all back. So if they get on the field more, and they're considered, and now the guys that were ahead of it, like I said, Geronimo's gone, Jimmy Graham's gone. I hate to say it, but Tremont right now is not there. So does that mean Shandon Sullivan's role becomes even bigger? Maybe he's the nickel corner now instead of the dime corner. Could be good. I mean, I miss Tremont. I'll miss Tremont if he's not back. They could sure use him, actually, but I don't know if they have the money to sign him. But those are things that I think Gutekunst is saying, okay, we know these guys that they're on the cusp of making plays, and they made plays last year, are ready to be on the field even more and make more plays. Sternberger, he's totally different than DeGuara is. Totally different. Mm-hmm. He's like a wide receiver out there. So he's going to spread, he's going to spread the field. He's going to attack the zones, attack the seams, right? Okay, that's cool. It's a totally different player. He's actually got some speed, unlike Jimmy Graham, who falls on his face as soon as he catches it. Okay. I think this is what these guys are thinking. And we were 13-3 with all these guys playing that shouldn't have been playing. And now we're going to put the guys that should be playing in there more, and we should be better. But the one downfall problem is the defensive line. They have not addressed the defensive line at any form. When Kenny Clark plays more snaps than any other defensive lineman all year last year, that is a problem. Because there's other guys in the league that are considered better than him, and they don't play every single down or 78% of the time or whatever it was he played.
I think it was 86. I think it was like 86% of the
whatever it was. He's out there way too damn much. That poor guy, I'm surprised he didn't lose 20 pounds over the course of the year because he played so dang much. Yeah. But they didn't get him any help. None. And they drafted the guy the defensive players they drafted. None of them are linemen. No. Even the edge rusher guy is really not much of. He's not going to help against the run, really.
He's an athlete. He's an athlete. Yeah. They tried to. And the guy turns into something.
Maybe the guy from Minnesota wasn't much against the run either. From what I hear, he's like a smaller guy or something. I don't know.
Well,
but
he
can play his stuff. But.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about him next show. But the one thing I say from him is, he fits that. He fits that. I watched the interviews with him, stuff like that. Fits that bill. A good guy. Real, in terms of the person and all that stuff that they're trying to go for. The one thing though is he's got coming off a real big knee injury. He says he's good to go. We'll see. But in some of the tape I saw, he had a hard time getting through the wash, avoiding blockers, finding the running back, stuff like that. You didn't see a lot of that happening. So again, and then you finally address the linebacker spot at pick, round 5, pick 175. I mean, that's a lot later than I think a lot of us hoped they would do that. So that part has all been disappointing. So, okay. So with DeGuara, the other thing I like about him is that I think he's going to be very versatile, like they said, and I like that part about him. And it's clear that they like the person he is, and he's going to be a hard worker and all that good stuff. So that's great. Those guys on your team, great. You want them for sure. But I don't expect him to be like the next George Kittle or some really useful guy, like explosive guy. He's not going to be explosive. Do not expect that, Packers fans.
We talked about he's Richard Rodgers.
Yeah.
Now, Richard Rodgers has one of the greatest catches in Packer history. So if he can do that, hey, all right. Richard Rodgers was a good guy.
I love Richard
But he
Rodgers.
he was a piece. He was a piece of an offense that made it go.
Yeah.
All right. That's what this guy is.
So Dylan was the second round pick. And again, like when I looked at the backs, there were no other backs like him in this whole draft. He's very, very different than every other back in this draft, and different than the backs the Packers have. The Packers have not had a back like this. And some people will say they haven't had a back like this since Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy was not like this guy. Eddie Lacy
better.
Eddie Lacy ran and looked for contact because I think he was tired and wanted to stop running. So he tried to run into people so then he would get tackled. But look at some of his long runs. You remember some of those ones where he got out in space?
He's like looking around like, come on, somebody catch me.
Right. Somebody tackle me so I can stop running. But this guy will avoid, like he will punish people and run physical, but he does try to put moves on people and avoid the tacklers. So that's very different. Now and he's got good speed, especially for his size. He's really thick in his legs and his thighs. Like that's a different thing too. That Lacy was kind of top heavy.
And his shoulders and upper body too, though.
Yeah.
Like
no,
he's got like the difference is he doesn't have a gut. Lacy had a gut.
Right,
he was thick around the middle. This guy's thin around the middle, and he's just got huge shoulders and huge. Like his arms aren't terribly like they don't look like a He-Man or anything.
Right.
But his shoulders are huge. His chest is huge, and then his legs are huge. Yeah. So it's like he runs through dudes. Like you're not going to bring him down by touching his leg. Like you try grabbing his upper leg to bring him down. It ain't happening, especially if you're a defensive back. He's running right through you. That's what I saw on the video. I was like, forget it. You're not tackling this guy down low if you're a corner. If you go high, you're just going to bounce right off him. You go high, he just grabs you and he shoves you. There's one play where he looked like Marshawn Lynch. He just grabbed the guy and shoved him on the ground and then ran for a dang 70-yard touchdown. That was like his first game he ever played when he's a freshman. That was his fourth touchdown of that game. He got the ball, spun around because there was nowhere to go. A corner came from out of nowhere. He was tackling him. He grabbed him with the other arm on the inside arm. He was over here. He grabbed him, shoved the corner, threw him on this side of his body, then ran for 70 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty dang awesome, if you ask me. This guy looks like if you took Dorsey Levens and mixed him with Marshawn Lynch, that's what he looks like. So that makes me happy. Because Dorsey Levens is one of my all-time favorite backers, as you know, and a lot of people that know us know. And that's pretty cool. I like that. He's not shifty. In no way is he shifty. He's a one move. He can make one move. There's times you watch the film and he's trying to make a guy miss or he's got to cut back and do this. He takes really kind of choppy steps. It's not like Aaron Jones, where Aaron Jones is like, no. This guy's like, no. But if he goes and then he sees it and then he's gone. He's got good acceleration. His top speed is not like super fastest, but his acceleration through the hole is fast. Like when you watch him play, when he makes this decision and he goes, he can cut right through there and guys are not bringing him down. His strides keep going. What I would like to see is sometimes when guys grab him up his upper body, he'll stop his feet and try to shove the guy instead of keeping his feet moving. Because sometimes if you keep your feet moving, you'll run right through him, and then just break right through. So sometimes he probably needs to work on that. The other thing I noticed, terrible in pass protection, just god awful. And it's because he's not very good laterally.
Okay.
So like if he's got to sit there and a blitzer's coming, right? And the blitzer gives him like a juke move to go around him, he's not quick enough to adjust and get in the way. There's one play where I watched him, he got the fake handoff, play action play, and he goes up. There's a guy who went right through the middle, nobody blocked him. Which kind of sucked. But he went up to try to block him, and the guy just went juked right around him, caused a fumble. The other team picked it up, ran all the way for touchdown because the quarterback fumbled. And it was his fault. He didn't pick up the blitz. Mm-hmm. Now, the guy went right through the middle. Nobody even touched him. There wasn't really much he could do about it. But it was a linebacker, and it wasn't a DB. And he still wasn't quick enough to get in front of that linebacker to stop him. But it was pretty much right after the fake. So it was a tricky play for anybody to make, I think. But that's one thing where, like, if it was third down and crunch time, and you need a back there to help protect Aaron Rodgers, Dylan's not the guy you want back there. You want, at this time, Jamal Williams back there.
Jamal Williams, yeah, okay.
So and So that's going to be a problem where if Dillon's back there, everybody's going to be like, oh, they're going to run her up the gut. If Aaron Jones is back there, like, well, it could be anything, but he's not going to pass protect. And if it's Jamal Williams, it's like, well, it could be a screen pass, it could be a run, it could be a delay handoff, it could be whatever. That's the only thing that's kind of disappointing is all these guys are so different that when they're in the game, the defense kind of knows what's up, you know?
Right. And you don't want to be that predictable, but hopefully he can develop those other things with coaching and with repetition and whatever. I mean, I know he wasn't asked to do a lot of that stuff with
No, he
at
wasn't.
Boston College. So it was basically like, hey, you're a freak athlete. We're giving you the rock like 75% of the offensive plays, and we know you're playing against a stacked box. Go get it. And he was productive. The things I noticed though in some of the game tapes that concern me a little bit about Dillon being his success translating to the Packers and his production is that a lot of the holes on the offensive line for him in college, I noticed were some pretty big holes.
Not
And
always.
okay,
I
no,
watched 3 games.
all right,
I watched 3 games today, and I beg to differ, my friend.
all right. Well, I hope
But
so.
but we'll
How
get
about
to it.
well the okay then the big plays, most of the big
yeah.
plays, right? But
Yeah.
but the Packers don't open up many big holes. Right? They open up little slivers, and that's why Aaron
Yes.
Jones works for him because he's got
Yeah.
great vision and he can slip through there and then he can make stuff happen. So I guess in terms of expecting with this offensive line that the Packers have, I would not anticipate AJ Dillon having a lot of explosive plays or big runs. I think he can be successful. I think he can be productive. And maybe that's all they need him to be through this first year of his career.
Yeah, I could see that. I got some stats I want to talk about him because I kind of was doing some things. These are really, I think they're awesome, but whatever. All right, so last year he had 318 carries, 1,685 yards, and 15 touchdowns, right? I watched one game, he had like 42 carries in. It was unbelievable. And he just, like, Boston College couldn't even pass the dang ball. It was honestly pathetic to watch this game I was watching. But he just ran all over the place. And sometimes there's nothing there. And there were times where he got blown up because the guys got beat. But more often than not, he moved forward, dude. He broke tackles and he moved forward. And then sometimes and then as the game went on, like the first quarter, it wasn't a whole lot of big plays for him. But by the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, he's breaking off 30-yard runs, 40-yard runs, 70-yard runs. It was like one was a 60-yard run. It was just like, he's just, like I said, he's like Dorsey. Remember Dorsey? Everybody's like, oh, as the game goes on, he gets better. Well, he didn't get better. The defense got tired and got sick of him running him over. That's what happened. So it had nothing to do with him getting any better. Just the defense got tired. And that's what happened with this guy. Here's the other thing, really cool. Are you ready for this? They said he faced, on 75% of his carries, he faced a stacked box, which would be 8 men in the box. Okay. So that means he's going up against 8 guys trying to stop him. And there's only 6 or 5 blockers in front of him, right? So if you look at that, there was 240 carries he had against a stacked box. Okay. His yardage was 1,236 yards against a stacked box on 240 carries, which is a 5.15 yards per carry. His yards per carry, by the way, just total carries, that 518 carries for 1,685 yards was 5.29 yards per carry. Just so you know, his normal carry is 5.29. So his yards per carry against the stacked box is 5.15. Here's the thing that's even more crazy. On those 240 carries against a stacked box, he had 823 yards after contact. 823 yards after contact on 240 carries. Do you know what that averages? 3.4 yards per carry after contact. You know what that means? This guy, after contact, will get you a first down on 3 carries. That is freaking nuts. This guy is a freaking monster, dude. Monster. 66.5% of his yards were after contact in a stack box. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy. He is a giant monster of a dude who's going to kill people. Oh, he's not going to kill anybody, but he's going to run over dudes, and they're going to wish they were dead. Because I'll tell you that. And I'm excited. You know me. I've always liked running backs more than anything in the world. I don't know why. It's just my thing. But man, this guy, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So think about that. 3.4 yards per carry after contact against a stacked box. And then there was one play there. I remember Here's a highlight, and they were like, it was like 3rd and 9. And they're like, well, on 3rd and 9, nobody's going to run the ball up the middle. I mean, you're not going to be able to get the first down with that. And then they'll show the play. Sure enough, it's a run up the middle to AJ Dillon. He gets 11 yards. They're like, well, I guess AJ Dillon can get a first down on 3rd and 9 up the middle, but he's the only one I can think of that get a first down that way. And it's true. The guy's a monster, dude. He's a monster.
All right.
There's another play that was, there's another play in the shotgun. It was 3rd and like 12, or 3rd and goal from the 12, because they moved backwards a couple times because they tried to be tricky and it didn't work. And they were in a shotgun formation, and Dillon's next to the quarterback, right? Goes back, and they do like a fake handoff, like they're going to do like a rollout with the quarterback and then pass it over here. But instead, he actually just flips it over to Dillon, and Dillon just goes up the middle, and nobody knew what was going on. Next thing you knew, he was in the end zone for a touchdown. It didn't get touched. Like you said, there's a big giant hole. That's probably one of the plays you saw. But it's one of those things where he can deceive people. He's way quicker, and his burst is way better than what you think, looking at a guy who's 247 pounds. And it's just, I'm telling you, I'm coming around on this guy. I like him. I think it's awesome. He's totally different than Aaron Jones, and I love Aaron Jones. He's my favorite Packer. You know that. Mm-hmm. So it's scary because my fantasy football team is going to not be as good this year because Aaron Jones is one of my guys I keep on the keeper league. And last year he was awesome. And this year, obviously, his stats are going down because if you get a big bruiser like this, Aaron Jones probably isn't going to get as many carries. And that makes me sad. But hey, as a Packer fan, I'm excited. So what do you think of those stats? What do you think of that?
I think that's really impressive. Like I said, I have no problem with Dillon at all. I have no problem with any of these players. They were big reaches in where they took them, especially the first 3 picks. So that's the part that we'll find out. We will find out if that's going to bite the Packers or not. We'll see. But AJ Dillon, like some people, I read some stuff saying he's the best back in this whole draft. And he was still sitting there. The one thing is, like we said, he's very different. A lot of those other backs that went early were the small guys, and we don't need any more small guys. We don't need another small guy. We got that covered.
The guy that Kansas City got from LSU is really good. Like, because I watched so much Justin Jefferson tape leading in, because I watched 3 games of the LSU.
Ooh, excuse me. By the way, hold on. Did you hear that? That's a receiver Goody really liked, and if he was there in the first round, that he really was targeting Jefferson.
Oh my God! Now that scares me again.
I know. I read that somewhere, and I think I don't know how legitimate it was, but that does scare me, along with some other things Goody Kunst has done. But all right. So anyway, I just wanted you to know that because I know how much you didn't like Jefferson. So hopefully that was just something made up by a troll or something. But I almost thought I read it on the Packers website.
Maybe you did. I don't know. That scares me. A lot like Goody's draft picks scare me over the last 3 years. I don't know if you want to get into that. I got those written down here.
They haven't been good.
I got them right here.
No, let's focus on this draft here. Okay.
Yikes.
What I threw you off. I threw you off.
Yeah, you did. I'm like, well, I'm done. I'm good.
Okay.
Those are things I saw. Like I said, pass protection.
Yeah.
Not the best. Never really caught the ball much out of the backfield. Yeah. He doesn't have a shifty. He's not shifty. He's not going to juke you out of your shorts.
Yep.
But he'll one cut and go.
You hope.
He's got good acceleration, breaks tackles, moves the chains. He moves the chains.
And we need that.
That's all I can say. He moves the chains forward.
We need
to go
that.
forward.
Yep.
He goes forward.
We need that for sure. And the Packers have lacked that for a long time. I mean, Williams and Jones are decent at it, but before this last season, I mean, it was a struggle, especially with those short yardage situations. So you hope that with this guy, he's got a nose for it. It seems like he will be. And the other big thing, you just hope he holds up. You hope that he's durable enough, can handle the pounding, because he's a big dude. And being only at 6 feet and 247, though, I think that makes a difference. And with his legs being as thick as they are, I mean, that could be. I like it. I like the player, just not
his best runs came on like where the offensive line was like shifting this way, and then the tight ends would be like a lot of cutback block, like what the Eagles did, like to the Packers in that game this last year, and then he cuts it back the other way. Like a lot of his big runs came from that. So he's got vision to see where the crease is, and I think he's reading the linebackers, and like he'll he'll lead them off going this way and then kind of just cut back and do things like that. But he's not going to do like a couple different, like Aaron Jones. Like there's that one touchdown Aaron Jones had against Luke Kuechly where he came up the middle and he went like this and juked it and went in the end zone. It was like a 12-yard touchdown run. And Luke Kuechly had no idea. And then Luke Kuechly retired after the year, all because of that play from Aaron Jones. But that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyways, Dylan can do that stuff. He can do that stuff.
Good. Okay. Well, we're almost an hour in. We haven't gotten to Jordan Love yet. So we're working our way back from DeGora up from third round up to first round. This one's still, I don't know. This one had the most conflicting answers to the reason for why you drafted him. Things said like, when the way the board fell, he was our only first round grade left. Different things like that. I mean, those answers don't match what the Packers did again, because they're not dumb people. They know that by doing this, they know what they're doing. They know it's sending a message to the fan base, to Aaron Rodgers, to everybody. That yes, and clearly they want to get their own quarterback. These two, GM and coach, want to have their own quarterback that they can mold, that will run their system. And that's fine. That is fine. But that's a guy you take later if you're going to make that move now, not your first round pick when you have so many other needs. And then you can't use all these same excuses, because how many times have the Packers, when they didn't see a first round grade left, they just traded out of the first round, right? Or I was watching something today and somebody brought this up, how the 49ers, gave a couple of draft picks to get Trent Williams. Well, offer your first round pick to the Redskins for Trent Williams then. I mean, that's an instant upgrade on your line. Wagner can be depth at tackle for a couple of years. You're looking pretty then. But anyway, and again, okay, this could all work out. This could all work out in the end for them to move on from Aaron Rodgers in a couple of years, which is clearly what they're planning to do, even though they had to come out and say, well, we expect Aaron to be our quarterback for a really long time and hope he stays until he doesn't want to play anymore. But
okay, no, they didn't say that. They didn't say they hope he stays until he doesn't want to play anymore. They both said they hope that Aaron plays as long as he wants to.
Oh,
they never said they hope he's a Green Bay Packer as long as he wants to. No, really. Honestly, go back and look at the quotes and listen to them again. They both say, Aaron Rodgers, we want him to play as long as he wants to. We hope he plays as long as he wants to. And he's our guy, and blah, 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 blah. But there was never a sentence that said, we want Aaron Rodgers to be our quarterback until he decides he doesn't want to be here anymore. Now, nobody should have that right in the NFL, because nobody ever really does get that right.
Right.
But they never once said that. They try to disguise it.
Yeah.
Like you just heard it. You heard it. But we hope Aaron Rodgers plays as long as we want Aaron Rodgers to play as long as he possibly can. Just not with the Packers the whole time. They didn't put that part in there, because that's obviously what they should have added to that sentence.
Yeah. Now we went on about, we had our big reaction to Love, and that's how we picked up a whole bunch of new subscribers, because that thing got circulated around a little more than most of our other shows or videos. And that was, like I said, that was just raw reaction, man. And because we were so excited they were going to go for win now mode, and that pick not only created a lot of disturbance within the team, because that's what it's going to do regardless of how well everyone handles it. Because it's not using one of your premium picks to help these guys win now. And that's disappointing to the fan base. It's disappointing to, like I said, all those big free agents they signed and all that stuff too, and Aaron Rodgers. But so I don't want to go on and on about all that stuff, but there was a couple of things that, again, I mean, a lot of people said this. I want to make this point right now, because I hear this over and over and over. And you got the same people on one side, Marcus Spears, freaking Bucky Brooks, and blah, 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 all the Aaron Rodgers haters.
Bucky Brooks hates Aaron Rodgers.
All the Aaron Rodgers haters that are like, just explain it. Well, they did it to Favre. It's the same thing, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And you got to move on. But again, the difference being that very different contract situations. Aaron Rodgers is so much guaranteed money. And again, I pointed out the conflict the other day and on the short video about, you made the big financial commitment, you have the big financial commitment, and then you make this move now. Seems really weird, especially after a very big winning season, even though a bunch of people say they overachieved last year, and they did. But They won a lot of close games. You win close games, you're going to have a good record. Anyway, digressing on all of that stuff. This point really has to be made about the reason people should be upset, and everybody's focusing on how, a lot of people talked about the first round receivers or didn't get a top-notch receiver and all that stuff. That's fine. They didn't even draft a single receiver. That's not what we're talking about. It isn't about a receiver. It isn't about getting Aaron Rodgers help, because that's what everybody's talking about. Aaron, you got to get him some help. You got to get him. No, it's not just him. You have to get this team some help. You have to fill the holes. That's what we as Packers fans wanted to see, was you fill the obvious holes with talent that can play for you, and you make this team better now. That's what we wanted. Well, it appears, and it's very clear with all these, not an appear, it's very clear with all these picks, they're not trying to improve the team for next year that much. There's going to be some improvements and some adjustments, but again, those immediate needs have not been filled in any way, shape, or form. Now, hopefully, like you said before, those other guys that they've had on the team for receivers, for tight ends, whatever, are going to see the field more. Maybe they think they're going to make that jump and be the impactful players that they want to have out there. And if that works out, great. Maybe the master plan, maybe they got it all figured out. And that's all we can do is wait and see how that happens. But that's the part that I just have to stop that argument. All these people talking about, they didn't get Aaron Rodgers any help, and blah, 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 and it had to be a receiver. It didn't have to be a receiver. It didn't have to be help for Aaron Rodgers. It had to be help to make this team better. The Packers did not do that. At least with those early picks, they didn't do it significantly for this coming year. And that's what was so disappointing to so many people. Now, I'm going to move on from that. We're going to talk about some positives about Jordan Love. Unless you have anything else you want to bring out before we get to the positives about Jordan Love.
Well, I'm just going to, I don't know if you want to end with a funny thing or not. It's got to do with first round Packer picks.
Oof.
All right. We'll not. Oh, well, I saw. Right. We'll do Jordan Love. Jordan Love. I tried talking about him last time when I was doing my stupid connection was weird. But so the dude's he's got the arm, man. He's got the talent. He can throw any ball he wants. He's got really good touchdown feel. Like, it's crazy. It's almost like Aaron Rodgers, like perfect. He can throw an off-platform throws. He can make them. His windup is a little too much right now. It takes him a while to get the ball out of his hand. Okay, so that's got to change. His NFL, he's not going to have as much time. The other thing I thought he was better at was pocket awareness. Not so great. There's times when there's guys around him and he's not even registering it, and he gets hits and he fumbles, or he gets sacked or whatever, and he's holding the ball way too long. The other problem, everybody complained about his interceptions this year. He said a lot of times he was just trying to force things to happen because his team wasn't as good and they were usually behind, and he's just trying to make plays somehow. The other thing, I found a video. They were talking about the offense they was in this last year, and it was another one of those darn shotgun, 2 wide receivers over here, 2 wide receivers on this side, running back who moves over and goes in the slot, and they run like the same freaking plays over and over again. Okay, and defenses could read it, and a guy showed it, even a video of it, where there's 2 receivers on the side, okay, and they run the same exact route concept. The outside receiver, but they get options on it, okay? So the outside receiver is supposed to do like a 9-yard in route or slant type of thing based on what the corner in front of him does and what the corner in the slot does. And the other guy starts on a 5-yard out route, and if the guy comes with it, he switches it to a wheel route and goes deep, on the outside. So it's like a scissors play, right? But it's not quite scissors because it's not 2 slants. It's a slant in and an out route and then up, okay? And then the tight end or whoever who's in the slot, like the right next to the line of scrimmage, he has the option to do an in-breaking route or come back or whatever based on what the guy covering him does, okay? So all these things happen. So, and people were complaining that sometimes Jordan Love needs to just pull the trigger when a guy's open. Well, if he reads it one way and the wide receiver or the tight end reads it a different way, he's like, at the beginning of the year, he was waiting because it was the first time in this offense, and he was like waiting for the guy to get open because he wasn't sure what was going to happen yet because he was still new to the offense and new to playing it against defense. So like, when he doesn't know what what his receiver's going to do either sometimes because he wasn't up to snuff on reading defenses. Okay. The other thing, there was a time where the defenses knew what was going to happen. So instead of playing man coverage and bump and run coverage at the corners on the outside, they would play off 9 yards. So they just let the guys do whatever they want and then cover them whichever way they go. And Jordan Love is supposed to read the inside corner on those 2 corners on the outside. He's supposed to read the inside guy. If he goes with the slot or the inside wide receiver on the outbreaking route, then he's supposed to throw it to the slant because that corner vacates that area, right? Well, if the corner's back 9 yards, that's telling him to throw the out route, the 5-yard out route. But the problem is that the defensive coordinators of the opposing teams would tell the outside corner to jump that slant or jump that out route, just like Al Harris did against Matt Hasselbeck in the playoff game against the Packers years and years ago. Well, by the time that happens, he's already throwing the ball because all he's reading is that inside corner who's telling him throw it 5-yard out because that corner is not going with him. The other corner started 9 yards back of the other receiver on the outside, and he should be going with that outside receiver who's pushing him upfield. But the defensive coordinators tell their corners, hey, these guys run the same dumb plays all the time. They're ding-dongs. Just jump the route and pick it off. And the guy jumps the route, picks it off, goes back for a pick six. And he had a bunch of pick sixes this year too. And a lot of them were because of that. Because he's reading the corner right. He's reading what his coach is telling him, and he's throwing the ball to where he's told to throw the ball. And the defenders are smarter, and they're not smarter, but they're coached better. And they're told, hey, jump that route, jump that route, jump that route. And they do. So the talent is there on this guy. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I like a lot of his picks this last year were because of a new system, waiting for things to happen. Yes, because he wasn't sure what the guys were going to do right away. And then earlier on, but then as the year went on, he threw way less interceptions. He was able to read the defense better. Their offense got a little bit more, a little more going on instead of the same stuff over and over again. And he was more successful. So he showed progression through the year last year with this new offense. He's not dumb. He's able to learn things. He's got a good arm. It's just, the problem is that they picked a quarterback when they've got Aaron Rodgers for 4 years. So I think it's not a bad pick. And like I said, I would like to go. I'll do it later. But what did you think about that stuff? Are you able to watch any film on him, or just kind of go or read some scouting reports or whatever? What did you hear?
Well, I will say about him that I think he's I think he's got some talent. I think he's fits what they're trying to do, which is good people, and seems like a good kid, good person, all that stuff, which is great. Again, we talked about that. We like that. Again, the question is why now and why this person? Because and Corey, when we talked on Friday night, Corey dismissed this point of view, but I thought this is exactly the point of view the Packers are taking. Either they thought Jordan Love was the best prospect since Andrew Luck, or because otherwise, why would you take him when he's not ready? And they must just think that he has all of these tools and intangibles and whatever, that he's the best prospect. We have to get him. We have to now. Because then you're also assuming that there's not going to be any good prospect in the next, 2, 3, 4 years down the road. That's what you've said by making the selection now. You're saying there's no one that's going to be close to this good in the next 2 to 3 drafts. And how do you know that? You don't. That's the big issue I had with this pick. Jordan Love, talent. Can he develop? Yes, great. Some of the things you said concern me a little bit because if he didn't have pocket awareness with this Packers offensive line, watch out, dude, because they're coming for you. Because Aaron Rodgers makes them look good a lot. And hang on, before you jump in, one more thing. You brought up the interceptions and you said pick six. Do you realize? I don't know if you know this. Do you realize how many pick sixes Aaron Rodgers has thrown in his career?
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's not. It's at least 1/4 the amount that Brett Favre threw.
0.
You're kidding me.
He has never had an interception returned for a touchdown in his career.
No way. Really?
I look back. I couldn't find a single one.
Okay, now just hang on. That's not a.
There's
a lot. He threw a lot of passes, dude.
I know, but you think about the ones someone's usually tackled I mean, he had a couple where guys were returning them, but a couple times he made the tackle or forced the guy out of bounds or whatever, and
Brian Urlacher.
right. And I think part of it is because if he ever throws a pick, he gets so pissed, like that dude's not going to get past him most likely. But most of the time it was, it was like downfield or whatever. But I couldn't find a single one. I'll try again. I'll try looking up again. I'll fact check myself on that one. But I did a search on this exclusive
Either way,
thing.
it's very low. It's a very low number. That's for sure.
That's insane. You know how many pick sixes Jameis Winston threw last year?
Probably 8. Is that right? I mean, he threw 30 picks, so it's got to be like 8.
I'm just wondering. I'm throwing it out
here.
there.
You want to hear a really bad stat? Here, since we're doing bad stats, here's a terrible stat. Are you ready for this?
I guess.
And I want people are going to be scared that they didn't pick a wide receiver, but it's okay. Here's because most of these are Geronimo's fault. All right. So Aaron Rodgers threw 26 touchdowns last year, right? 13 of those touchdowns were to wide receivers. Okay? 13. Now, how much of a difference do you think those same wide receivers, so the wide receiver position, how many of those had, there's a difference between touchdowns and drops last season. How close do you think that number is? The 13 for drops.
13.
Just from wide receivers. So I'm not including fullbacks dropping balls and Jimmy Graham dropping balls and tight ends dropping balls and running backs dropping balls. Just wide receivers dropping balls.
You're not including
touchdowns. Just wide receivers. Just the wide receiver position.
You're not including Jimmy Graham's. All right, wide receiver position. I don't know, 27.
Okay, that's ridiculous. No, it's only 14. But it's more. They drop more balls.
Yeah, they don't give those.
I
guys
know.
Drops
I'm starting to wonder. I'm thinking Geronimo had 14 drops himself, but and we also know MVS's drop on the first play against Chicago, which was ridiculous. Should have been a touchdown, and hit him right in the hands and drops it on that deep bomb on the first play. I mean, that's the other thing. It scares us. These guys, MVS could be a monster. He's so fast, but he just is like consistency issues, right? Oh, did you hear about his tweet that he had last week?
No, I didn't hear about it.
Oh my God. He tweeted that he was going to be as good or better than Jerry Rice, Julio Jones, Larry Fitzgerald, like guys like that. And the hashtag was believe it into reality or something like that.
Wow.
So he's not saying he's that good. He's saying he's going to believe that he can be that good so that it turns into him being that good. But he had like Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Julio Jones, MVS. Believe it into and it's like the best wide receivers of all time. And then it said believe it into reality or something. And I was just like, you got a long way to go, bro. You're not even the 5th best receiver on your own dang team, much less in the top 5 of receivers of all time. I mean, what? And then everybody was like, what is going on with MVS? He must be losing his mind. This coronavirus quarantine thing is making everybody go crazy. That's all I can think of. It's nuts.
All right. I fact checked it. Can I give it to you?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. He's got 2 for his whole career.
2 out of 84 interceptions, I think, is all he's got in his whole career, right? 80 something?
Yeah.
Brett Favre threw 2 pick sixes in 1 playoff game.
Brett Favre has
against the Rams.
Brett Favre is the all-time leader with 31, of course.
What? I thought Peyton Manning had the most. How many does Peyton Manning have?
Peyton Manning's up. He had 27. Dan Marino, 29.
Okay. Peyton Manning.
Dan Marino, 29. Joe Namath, 28. No surprise. Drew Brees, 27. Manning, 27. Philip Rivers, 24 and counting. Aaron Rodgers, 2. Here, let me give you some names of quarterback. Bart Starr only had 8 in his career. I'm going to give you some names of quarterbacks who have thrown more pick sixes than Aaron Rodgers. I'm looking for some good names here. Danny Cannell has more than him. Billy Joe Tolliver has thrown more than Aaron Rodgers. Let's see some other names.
Those guys even play did Danny Cannell even play like more than 2 games, much less have 2 pick sixes?
No, Matt Flynn has twice as many. He's got 4. I'm looking for other guys that barely played, like Patrick Ramsey, he's got 4. Steve Young, through his whole career, only 4.
Wow. See, that's the thing.
Impressive. Yeah.
Like a lot of people want to compare. Aaron Rodgers is a lot like Steve. I mean, let's face it. It's like the same type of situation happened.
Yep.
He won. It's Steve Young is way. You got to be some pretty dang good player to make the Hall of Fame after sitting on the bench behind Joe Montana for like 8 years or whatever it was. Like his career was cut in half, and he still made the Hall of Fame. So that's pretty dang impressive.
Scott Tolzien has more pick sixes than Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, jeez.
So does Tom Tupa. Remember that name?
Yeah, I do.
And Peter Tom Willis as well as yeah. Those are some dudes that hardly threw any balls to anybody in the NFL. Where's I saw the Magic Man on here. I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah. Of course Magic Man had a couple.
He not too bad. I think he's at 9, I think. Let me see. Something like that. I'm too many guys in the list now. I scrolled past him. I think he was like 8 or 9, maybe 6.
Well, Magic Man, as you know, and most people know, he was my favorite Packer for quite a few years, which is why I never liked Brett Favre. And then when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, I was happy. Then they pull this crap, and I'm the exact opposite of the day they drafted Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know what to say. And I'm not saying I don't like Brett Favre. I'm just saying
there you have it.
He had his issues.
If you want to put yourself next to Bart Starr on some wavelength, Bart Starr and Don Mikowski have the same amount of pick sixes. So he's at least equal to Bart Starr on one statistic.
That's a terrible, terrible stat. It's awesome for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers only 2 pick sixes. Man.
In his whole career, dude.
He is it's honestly
ridiculous.
All these Skip Bayless and all these guys, how in the hell do they make a living off of ripping on Aaron Rodgers? That's all that guy's ever done.
I don't know.
The guy's too damn good to be ripped on. And how in the hell do they draft Okay, we're gonna be positive. Here, I got a positive list. Positive list for you.
All right, let's finish it up.
A lot of people are saying that this could be a wasted first round pick.
Okay.
Jordan Love could be a wasted first round pick because he sits there for 4 or 5 years. And if we're lucky, Aaron Rodgers plays till he's 45 and he stays there for another 10 years. And Jordan Love never sees the field, and they trade him away, and it's a wasted pick. And I ask you this: how many wasted first round picks have the Packers had since 2000?
A whole bunch. Before you give them to me, I'm gonna give a shout out to Zach, who's been on. Zach, thank you.
Sweet.
And
thanks.
He's puts more like hashtag fake it until you make it for MVS. So that's pretty much
what
it.
It was.
Zach gave a whole bunch of really good comments of our previous videos. So Zach, we appreciate that. And we're going to bring one up in our next one. I can't remember. I was trying to find all of them because we started getting these comments in. I was trying to track them all, but he had a lot of good comparisons and good insight. And so did a bunch of other people. So, hey, we appreciate that. Keep that stuff coming. Keep spreading the word for subscribers and all that good stuff about Hafeman Bros. We'll keep trying not to disappoint, although sometimes, we have our good shows and our bad shows just like anybody. So I don't know if tonight's a good one or not, but we're trying our best. So Ben, go ahead and give me what else you had.
All right, I'm going to list off a whole bunch of names. Bubba Franks.
Yeah.
Right? Jamal Reynolds, wasted, complete garbage, never did anything.
Yuck.
Javon Walker, he was okay. Hey, I mean, he made that one good catch one time.
He's a stud in the Sega 2004 football game. I'll tell you that.
He was.
But after in real life, not a stud.
Okay, Nick Barnett was a good starter for years and years.
Good
a little
player.
Wacky, but he's good.
Good player.
Ahmad Carroll wasn't even the best. Wasn't even the top 2 corner drafted that year because Mike McKenzie and Fred Vincent were the 2 other guys that were drafted that same year at 2 and 3, and they were better than Ahmad Carroll was. So another wasted pick.
Yeah.
That was 2004. 2005, Aaron Rodgers, obviously the greatest pick of all time. Okay, we got that. 6, AJ Hawk, solid starter for years. Not that great, but he was dang good for a long, long time. He was like Blake Martinez. He was Blake Martinez. That's pretty much what he was.
Yeah.
For some reason, they kept him for years. They let Blake Martinez go. Don't know why, but whatever. Actually, I think Blake is a little better than AJ Hawk. That's just me. Okay, number 2007, Justin Harrell. Wasted pick.
It smells in here.
Wasted pick. 2008, they didn't have a first-round pick. 2009, B.J. Raji and Clay Matthews. Obviously, that led to a Super Bowl. So, yes, 2 good picks. Okay.
You like those?
2010, Brian Belaga. As much as I give him crap, he was a solid, good starter for 10 years. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to left tackle, Chad Clifton.
He wasn't talented enough for that, but
he was not.
He was a serviceable right tackle, serviceable
Right.
to solid, but that's not what you're looking for out of a first round pick.
No, I think Mark Tauscher was just as good, if not better, as a seventh
Yeah.
round pick than a first round pick as Belaga was. But he was still not a wasted pick, a good pick. However, 2011, Derek Sherrod. Oh my God, wasted pick.
Ugh.
Nick Perry, who after the Packers
Ah,
gave him a big contract, cut him the next year, and nobody picked him up because he was awful. Wasted
Stinky.
pick. I don't care what you say. Yeah, 1 year he had a bunch of sacks his contract year. Not good. 2013, Dayton Jones. We all know who he was. A wasted piece of crap. Then you got Clinton can't play. Dix. Wasted pick. I don't care what you say. The guy screwed up in the 2014 NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. That was his. He had 2 blunders in that game, as well as many other blunders throughout the year, and he couldn't tackle. 2015, Demarius Randall. He was so disruptive they had to trade him out of town, and he never really lived up to doing anything. 2016, Kenny Clark. Okay, he's a solid, good player. He's not considered to be like a top 5 defensive tackle, though. Not right now.
They're going to pay him
And
like
he's
that, though.
been around. I know. That's the thing that scares me. He's been around for 5 years. Is he really as good as
They're going to pay him.
Get paid for? I don't know.
I hope so.
And we will never know because he has no help. So we don't know. All right. 2017, I added this because they traded back Kevin King. He was supposed to be a first-round pick. He was not. So I'm not going to say he's a wasted pick. He's solid. What?
Kevin King's terrible. I have a light bulb. Light bulb before you finish.
Okay.
Secret of the Packers' plan was to not get Kenny Clark any help. So he has to play so many snaps so they can pay him less money after this contract year. The Packers thinking like a business.
What they do. We've
Goody,
established that.
the wild genius.
Yeah. All right. 2018, we got Jair Alexander. I think he's pretty good. He could be better, but he's he's pretty dang good. I like him.
At least he plays, and he's pretty good, and he made the best tackle in Packer history.
Right. Yes, the greatest tackle in Packer history. When he threw Adam Thielen into Stephon Diggs and tackled him for a 5-yard loss. It was the greatest tackle ever I've ever seen. Okay. 2019, Rashawn Gary. Complete waste. Even if he plays, it's a complete waste because he has 2 free agent starters who were signed at the same position, and that's why he will never see the field and why it's a dumb pick.
That's back-to-back years, man.
Yes. Darnell Savage, he's okay. He needs to be better. I expected more out of him. It didn't happen, but he's not bad yet. He's not a waste yet. Then Jordan Love could be a waste. We don't know. So what does that tell us? That at the beginning of the 2000s, we had some good guys. I mean, we had some Bubba Franks, Javon Walker, Nick Barnett. We had Aaron Rodgers, A.J. Hawk, B.J. Raji, Clay Matthews, and Brian Belaga. After that, Derek Sherrod, Nick Perry, Dayton Jones, Clinton Dix, Demarius Randall, Kevin King, Rashawn Gary, and Jordan Love. This ain't the first time the Packers have wasted a first-round pick.
No,
this ends up being a waste. So Packer fans, here's the thing, guys. The Packers have been good for years and years and years. And they've had terrible picks for years and years and years. It's really that big a deal. I don't know. Maybe it's not that big a deal.
Other than the fact that it just disrupts the whole team and makes their their longtime quarterback really pissed off. You're right, though. They've had a lot of fails. And one other funny thing, now you running that whole thing down, maybe you knew this too, but Bubba Franks, the last offensive skill position player other than Aaron Rodgers or a quarterback they took in the first round. So it's been
Javon Walker.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Javon Walker. But since Javon Walker, so in the last 15 years, Nick Wright, this is credit Nick Wright here as well.
17 years.
He said in the last 15 years, the Packers, the only 2 teams that have not selected a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end in the first round are the Packers and the Jets.
Well, that explains a lot. Not the difference between and what's the only difference between those 2 teams? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is the only difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference between winning a Super Bowl one time in the last 15 years and being absolute garbage for the last 15 years.
Wow. Yuck.
Aaron Rodgers. Think about that. The Packers are the Jets without Aaron Rodgers for the last 15 years.
Yikes. Zach put another comment here. He helped me out. He compared the quarterback pick of the Packers with Ryan Pace's move to jump up and get Trubisky. Like he got tricked into it, and maybe that's what happened.
Maybe, like I said, the Dolphins actually called Gutekunst. Maybe they called him and said, "Hey, somebody's trying to trade up here. I don't know what you're looking for, but somebody's trying to get this pick. You want to give us the 4th rounder to come up here just in case?" You know what I mean? And maybe that scared Goody. He's like, "Oh, somebody must be trying to get up there to get Love because that's who they targeted. And no matter what they say, we know they targeted them."
Yeah.
So that could be very well the same case because we all know that John Lynch called up the Bears GM, whoever that you just said his name,
Ryan
and they were
Pace.
like, "Hey, you want to trade a couple picks to move up one spot?" That was so dumb.
Oh,
That part is we laughed about it. Remember us Packer fans were like, "Ah, the Bears are so dumb." And now they're all laughing at us. They're all like, "The Packers are just as dumb as the Bears." It's like,
oh man,
the Vikings are the only smart team in the whole NFC North. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, they took Justin Jefferson, so they're not that smart either. I don't know what to say.
We hope this kid is better than Trubisky, but we'll see. Time will tell. All right.
Trubisky, I think Trubisky could be good if they just let him play. Like a lot of times, I think they kind of hold him back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm glad they do.
He's got flashes, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, all right. Zach points out that the Jets didn't get a wide receiver, running back, or a tight end this year either in the first round. At least the Packers and the Jets got that going. It goes on another year. Oh, man. Hey, thanks for checking it out, Zach. We appreciate it. Ben, I think we've said all we can say at this point and gone on long enough. But, man, all right, we're gonna try to spin it five. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh, how could I sign off without giving my big positive about the Jordan Love pick?
Ooh, let's hear it.
The one positive I already gave. He seems like he's a good kid. We like that.
He is. He's like a nice guy who's been through some stuff, with his dad and all that, and that kind of stinks.
Yep.
But it's good to see that he's coming on the outside. Like some people can kind of tank after something like that happens to him.
Yep.
And this guy kind of, had a good family relationship around him that held him up, and that's a great story. That's one thing. He's a good guy and a good story. I'll give him that. Okay, back to you.
And I mean, I'm serious about this because Green Bay needs this. Northeastern Wisconsin needs this. And the Packers organization needs a little bit of this, which is making a move for a high profile position that is a non-white Caucasian quarterback. This will be the Packers. I mean, I know they had Kaiser in there for a little bit and they had Hundley. He's on the bench, but you're looking at this guy becoming your starter at some point. Those guys were never going to be your starters, right? So I do like that. And I think it's good for the people of Northeastern Wisconsin. They need a little bit more color in their lives. And I do like that. I think it's an important thing to point out. That doesn't mean that's why they took them or anything like that, but I see that as a positive. I see that as a positive byproduct of this selection.
I think
diversity.
I don't live in the Green Bay area anymore, but it was well known that Sterling Sharp was not the most comfortable in the area for reasons. He didn't like talking to the media and things like that. And when Reggie came as a free agent, that was a big thing. And a lot of people, I can remember, I hate to say this, but I can remember hearing people talk about Reggie, and they would talk differently about Reggie than they did about almost every other African-American player on the Packers during those 90s team. Like they because Reggie was very religious and all that sort of thing, they talked very highly of him. And then other people, and then those same people who loved Reggie White and talked very highly about him would say very negative things about other African-American players just because of their skin color, which was a bunch of crap, for sure. And there was a lot of that going on in the 80s and 90s and that kind of thing. Nowadays, I don't think it's nearly that. I mean, I don't think it's like that anymore, but who knows? I mean, like we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff down south and other places, and you never think that it's like that. And, because I can remember growing up, to be honest, my daughter and I, we just watched during this quarantine time, we watched all 5 seasons of Quantum Leap pretty much because I got her hooked at it. She loved it. And there's so many shows in Quantum Leap about, because it goes back in time and it's about race relations and not being, giving everybody their fair shake, whether it's a woman or African-American or whatever color you are or whatever belief you have and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of shows dug into that at that time. And no other shows were doing that. Quantum Leap was doing that. And you see, and they were doing it back in time and showing you what it was in back in time, but they were specifically telling you at that time in the early 90s and late 80s, hey, it's still going on today. Let's be smart about it. Let's open our eyes and just realize that people are people. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what your color is, what you believe in, all this other kind of stuff. Everybody needs to treat everyone the same. And so, I mean, yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, I don't care myself. I'm like, I don't care if you're red, white, blue, purple, whatever. You can play quarterback. I want you to be on my team. You know, that's awesome. So that's a good thing. But that also kind of scares me, to be quite honest. What happens if there are some people out there that are still thinking backwards, and now they treat this guy differently because they're, number one, he's the guy who's going to push Aaron Rodgers out of town. Number two, he's a different color than I am, and they already have that bias already, and now they're pushing out their favorite white player out of, for years and years and years out of town. Maybe people are kind of jerks to him. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk to Jordan Love ever. Nobody should. It's not his fault that he got drafted by the Packers to try to, get Aaron Rodgers out of town or whatever they're doing. He just wants to play, and I think, and we've heard that Rodgers has contacted Love already, and there's an interview with Love, and Love said that Rodgers was very nice and welcomed him to the team and said he's there for him and all that kind of stuff. And I think Rodgers will do that. He's not going to be a jerk to him. He's going to help him out and help him learn stuff and that sort of thing. I think he just won't help him 100%. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's going to be like giving him the keys to the car. Yeah. He'll give him like the directions to where the car is, and then maybe put the keys, hide someplace else. Maybe, I don't know, but you know what I mean? It's like, so that's good. But I hope that the color thing doesn't.
Unfortunately, that's the race issues are still there in our society. There's no denying that, even though lots of times they're kind of underlying. There's certainly, we've made a lot of improvements as a society, and that's very good. There's room to grow. I'm just saying, like, hey, down the road, Aaron Rodgers is retired. However this works out, if this guy stays on the team, Aaron Rodgers is retired, this guy proves to be the next quarterback and your longtime quarterback for the Packers. I think that's a good thing, having him on there on all of their marketing stuff, the face of the franchise. I think that's only a way for Packer fans, the state of Wisconsin, people in that region to even grow. So the ones that aren't there yet, hopefully get there, and it helps people, because we need people of influence of all different races and thoughts and religions and everything. And I think the diversity is really important. I think that's great. Brett Favre had a statement about this draft pick 2, something where he doesn't, he's like, I don't expect Aaron to be giving up his job. If he plays the way he plays, and it's not like this kid's going to be able to take his job. So, and I think that's probably the case too. So if Rodgers balls out like we expect him to, it's a good insurance policy. It's a developmental kid. And maybe when he does get to 40 in the end of this contract, he's like, I played enough football. I'm good. So we'll turn it over to you now. And then the Packers don't have to, scramble at that point. Let's hope that's how it all plays out. But the one thing, like you said, Packer fans, don't remake the drama of the Favre to Rodgers situation. Don't do it. You guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to speak to everybody, but there were a lot of Packer fans that were just jerks to Aaron Rodgers that were just so, and especially when they finally made the transition, it's like, come on, man, let's not relive that as a fan base. Let's support all the people as we go forward, and let's see how this plan plays out. I think there's still, certainly as fans, we have the right to break down and skepticize this draft a little bit, but let's hope it bears fruit, because we needed to in order for the Packers to sustain success. So I think that's all I got, man. You got anything else, or are we out of here?
I think we're good.
All right. Zach, thanks for hanging out. Everybody else, catch us later. We'll talk to you, Ben. We'll talk to you soon, man. We'll go through rounds. We didn't have a fourth, so we'll go through rounds 5 through 7 on the next one. Catch you later. Everybody be safe.